today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most powerful farewell speeches in, well, maybe all of history. We're talking about the final blessings of Moses to the tribes of Israel, delivered right on the doorstep of the Promised Land. But first, just think about this for a second. Seriously, if you had one last shot, one final speech to give to an entire nation, to shape its future, what would you even say? What would you want them to remember? That's the incredible weight that was on Moses' shoulders. And to really get the gravity of this, picture the scene. Moses is 120 years old. He's led these people for 40 years through everything you can imagine. And yet, the text makes it super clear his vision and his strength were totally there. This wasn't some frail man whispering his last words. This was a powerful leader delivering one final critical message.
So the stage is set. Israel is literally camped out on the banks of the Jordan River, and they are looking across at Canaan, the land they've been waiting for. After 40 long years in the wilderness, this is it. This is the big moment of transition, and Moses is about to give his final charge. You know, a speech like this doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's the climax of an absolutely epic journey. You have the world-changing revelation at Mount Sinai, where they receive the law. Then you have those 40 tough years in the desert, which really forged them into a nation. And now here they are. A brand new generation is ready to go, and these last words are for them. But here's where it gets really interesting. Before Moses says a single word to any of the individual tribes, he does something really important. He makes it crystal clear where any real blessing actually comes from. He kicks it all off with this amazing, poetic picture of God's majesty. He talks about a fiery law, the standard of holiness, but he immediately follows it up with this foundational truth. Yea, he loved the people. It's this 1-2 punch of law and love. This whole thing isn't about Moses. It's about the character of the God who is doing the blessing. And that distinction right there, that is the absolute key to understanding this entire chapter. Moses is basically saying, hey, don't look at me. I'm just the messenger, the guy pointing the way. God is the source. He's the king. He's the one actually giving the blessing. We have to see everything else through that lens.
All right, so now we get to the blessings themselves. We're going to take a quick tour through a few of the key tribes to see how these really specific prophetic words were meant to shape their identity and, well, their whole future. First up, we've got Judah. This is a tribe that's already kind of marked for leadership, and Moses' blessing here really solidifies that. But what's fascinating is how he does it. He frames it as a prayer. He says, "Hear, Lord, the voice of Judah." He's essentially asking God to give Judah authority, to listen to his voice in battle, and to make him the defender of the whole nation. And this is a perfect example of how these words shaped destiny. This blessing cements Judah's role as the leader, which, down the line, leads directly to the royal line of King David. And of course, in later theology, this is the lineage of the Messiah. It's a powerful legacy of authority. Okay, so now let's switch gears completely. We go from the military leader Judah to the tribe of Levi, whose destiny is totally different. It's all spiritual. The Levites are the priests, the teachers of the law. But here's the real kicker. What makes them so unique? Unlike every other tribe, they don't get a piece of land, no territory. Instead, the blessing says their inheritance is God himself. I mean, just think about that for a second. Their inheritance isn't property, it's a sacred purpose and a direct relationship with God. All right, so from that deep spiritual inheritance, we pivot again. Now we're at the blessing for the tribes of Joseph, and this one is all about tangible, physical, material abundance. It's a totally different flavor of blessing. The language here is beautiful. It talks about getting the precious things of heaven. Now that doesn't mean gold or jewels. It means rain and dew and sunshine, everything you need for a fantastic harvest. So it's a blessing for fertile land and prosperity, but it also includes the military power you'd need to defend all that wealth. And for our last stop on this little tour, let's look at the tribe of Asher. This blessing is captured in one of the richest, most memorable images in the whole chapter. The blessing says, "Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil." That phrase, "dip his foot in oil," wow. I mean, what a picture that paints, right? It's not just about being well off, it suggests an almost ridiculous level of abundance. So what does it actually mean? It's a metaphor for just extreme, overflowing prosperity. Imagine a land so packed with olive groves, a huge source of wealth back then, that the valuable oil is practically flowing on the ground. You could just dip your foot in it. That's a picture of overwhelming favor. So let's bring this all together. What's the lasting legacy of all this? These weren't just nice little poems or good luck charms. These were foundational words, and they carry principles that honestly still matter a great deal. We can really boil it down to 4 big ideas. First, real blessing comes from God's character, not just how hard we work. Second, great leaders get this. Like Moses, they point to a higher purpose, not to themselves. Third, these kinds of powerful words and stories are what shape a group's identity. And finally, any lasting security is tied directly to being faithful to that higher purpose, to that covenant.
And this is how Moses closes it out. He brings it all home in this final, triumphant shout. He's saying that Israel's happiness, what makes them special, their ultimate safety, it's not in their own strength. It's in their identity as a people saved by the Lord, who is their shield and their help. And this all leaves us with one last big question to think about. Moses gave Israel's story that defined who they were and where they were going. So it's worth asking ourselves, for any country, any community, any family, how do the stories we tell about where we come from end up defining our destiny?